Good morning, everyone. Persephone Jane here for Right Up Our Alley. Today we're going to talk a little bit about organizing. January brings the beginning of my calendar for the launch of my first book. I am self-publishing it and most likely going to be going through a print-on-demand type of avenue, so more about that later. For now, I had to make a calendar because we are doing a multimedia project surrounding this book. It is a children's chapter book, and it follows 3 military siblings and kind of discusses some of the very unique challenges that those children face, having a family member who is active and many times deployed and having to move all the time. And so a lot of the challenges that they face as people and as siblings and as a family are very unique to the military lifestyle. So I wanted to follow that and kind of showcase it and kind of, give other military families a place where they can read about someone that's more like them than any other story they've come across. So this multimedia project includes the books themselves. It also includes a Pinterest account for the family of characters from the book. It includes a Twitter account for the same family, and it includes podcasts that we will record that coincide with each book. So all of that together means I need a really good schedule, and I need to keep track of what's being done when and who's doing it. And the only way that I can do that is to create a calendar and a schedule. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to flip the camera around, and we're going to look at the actual document that I created to keep myself organized and on track to make sure that everything happens in a timely manner, and thus making sure it's ready for the actual launch. It will launch in April. I picked that day or that month because it coincides with the month of the military child, and so I labeled that as my goal date. So everything before that kind of had to be structured to make sure that I meet that goal. So I had to make the calendar. So we're gonna scroll through and we're gonna take a look at it and talk about the ways that it's helping and the things that are in it, and maybe it will help you too. So here is my calendar. Or my organization form. All I did was open a Pages document or Word document, that kind of thing. And I started with this first page here. You can see I have the calendars lower, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. But I started just with these color-coded months. April, the month of the military child, is where our book release is at. And the other things are kind of scheduled in here and the way that I want them to go. So the podcast releases 1, 2, and 3. And then the Pinterest boards and the Twitter account and how I want them to go. The Pinterest, we're cycling through all of the boards that have to do with this book. So that I'm not posting a bunch of things all at once. I wanted to draw them out. That's why we're starting that in January, so that we can pin lots of stuff all the way up until April. And same with Twitter. I didn't want to just post a bunch of stuff all at once. So we're starting that in February, and it's going to cycle through all the way until the release of the book. It might even cycle through after the release. I'm not really sure. We'll see how it's going at that point. But on here, I've also put little goals for the month. These gray areas are passwords for the Pinterest and the Twitter account so that I don't forget them, because, we have too many passwords these days. So that's where I started, with just this simple kind of form, and then I realized that wasn't enough. I needed, like the Pinterest pinning stuff and whatnot, I needed something more specific and more detailed. So then I came down here and I added a calendar. So I went through using the same color coding. January is red and February is orange and so on. And I've created daily tasks. So I just finished this one a couple days ago, and I'm continuing on with February today, and then I'll continue on with what I want to do for the rest of the time. But for now, this is where we're at. And you can see I've put pin, and then this is the board that we'll be pinning about. I decided as I was writing the book what the boards would be, and you can kind of see them here in my Scrivener. In the document notes here, I put the Pinterest boards, the podcast ideas, and then the tweets that will be, like on week 1, we'll all be tweeting about Disney Sea, and week 2, everyone from the book will be tweeting about the birthday and the museum, and so on. So I made these notes here specifically so that I wouldn't forget, because that's me, I forget things. So then when I was doing this calendar here, I was like, what Pinterest boards was I going to do? I can't remember. Oh, right, I made those notes. So I came over here, I pulled this up, and I used these notes to create this calendar of pinning. I tried to mix it up, and I tried to save some of it towards the end of the month. Like we don't talk about the ice storm until the very end of the month, because it happens towards the end of the book. And if we decide to move this schedule around, I might move some of these to the end of February before the podcast comes out. Or I might save them completely until like right before the book comes out in March. I might just move them down completely to the bottom right before the book comes out, because they happen right at the end of the book. So this is just, the calendar is just helping me kind of keep things in order and make sure that I'm not missing anything, like casting the podcast and recording it so that it's ready for the release on the 1st. I have a tendency to think that something isn't due till the 1st, so that I don't have to do anything with it until the 1st, and I need this to help me say, oh wait, no, if I want to do it on the 1st, then I have to edit it, and I have to record it, and in this case I have to cast it, and all of that takes time. So having the calendar helps me keep track of my timed events and things like that. I hope that maybe this gives you an idea of ways that you might be able to organize your own writing and editing and releasing, if that's something that you are, or publishing, if that's something that you are taking on yourself. This calendar or one similar to it might help you keep things in line and keep things organized. So leave a comment below and let us know what you're thinking. And as always, subscribe to our channel and you'll get notified when we post new videos. See you next time.